Hello, fellow followers. Welcome back to FanZcene. Greg here, and today I have for you, Joe Bob ain't retiring, and the drive-in will never die. So as a huge fan of Joe Bob Briggs and Monster Vision, The Last Drive-In, I grew up watching Monster Vision as a kid. It was one of my favorites, along with Rhonda Shear on Up All Night. I loved watching that stuff growing up as a kid. It instilled with me a love of B movies and boobies and all that good stuff. That's just me, man. So shout out to The Last Drive-In. But The Last Drive-In is coming back for a 6th season, and Bloody Disgusting just did an interview with Joe Bob Briggs talking about, his future and what he's got planned and everything. And as a fan of this, I felt like I wanted to cover this and talk about it because this is something I'm really into, and I hope you guys enjoy. I hope you guys like these videos as well. I do, but I'm going to bring up this article here. It says, I don't see retiring from this. Joe Bob Briggs talks new Last Drive-In format and the show's future in an interview by Alex DaVincio. So here's the new artwork for the new season. We'll just start off here at the beginning, and then we'll get to where I want to get to. It says, "Hey everybody, have you heard the news? Joe Bob is back in town. Yes, sirree." Great song, by the way, by John Brennan. It says, "The Last Drive-In with Joe Bob Briggs has returned for its 6th season on Shudder, while the show's format has been slightly revised, adopting a new bi-weekly schedule with one film instead of a double feature. The beloved horror host approach is much the same. It didn't really change anything," Briggs tells Bloody Disgusting. "We were crowding all of our movies into 10 weeks. Okay, I thought it was 10 weeks. Once a year, and then having specials. We found that people would rather have more weeks. It's actually more movies than we've had before," which I like seeing that because, yeah, we did. I mean, this was something that I love telling this story, and I've heard it a million times, and I've heard it a million times from Darcy and Joe Bob online and everything, is that when they brought Joe Bob back to do The Last Drive-In, it's on Shudder, it's on streaming, right? Guys, I don't really like streaming, but I do enjoy Shudder because of Joe Bob. I have that because of him. But he told Darcy and everybody that he didn't think anybody cared anymore. He didn't think anybody would watch the show, watch his format, because it's on streaming. There's no commercials. He's interrupting the show. Everybody's moved on from this style show. They told him it wouldn't work, and we broke the internet when it aired. His first episode aired. Broke the internet. People couldn't watch it. So many people tuned in to see Joe Bob back on their screens, and it has just built and built and built from there. And I absolutely love it. I absolutely love it. It's so amazing. And he continues here with, "And some of the people on the East Coast fell asleep in the second movie because it was a long time. It's about a 5-hour show, exactly, when it's a double feature because we talk so much, and I love hearing him talk. I could listen to Joe Bob talk all the time, sir. I really could. And also, it's hard to get the thematic double features every single time. So our specials are still double features. So this is something that people wondered, because they do Halloween and Valentine's Day and Christmas specials. So their specials like those will still be double feature movies, but the regular episodes will be a single feature for anybody that's been curious. The season kicked off last week with The Last Drive-In, a tribute to Roger Corman, celebrating the legendary filmmaker's first 70 years in Hollywood with a double feature of 1959's A Bucket of Blood and 1983's boob-filled extravaganza Death Stalker. The special was filmed live in front of the fervent audience of Briggs' fan base, lovingly dubbed the Mutant Family. Hail the Mutant Fam, at Joe Bob's Drive-In Jamboree in Las Vegas last October. I have got to get out to one of these Joe Bob's Drive-In Jamborees. I've been wanting to go out there so much. I don't have time or money. Maybe one day I'll get to go out there and hang out with the Mutant Fam and get to meet Darcy and Joe Bob. That's a dream of mine. I would love to meet them along with so many other awesome people. So it continues with, in addition to his usual hosting duties, Briggs conducted a career-spanning interview with Corman and his wife, fellow producer Julie Corman. That's awesome. They were also joined by one of Corman's oldest friends and collaborators, Bruce Dern, in a heartfelt moment of mutual admiration. Briggs and Corman exchanged Lifetime Achievement Awards of hubcaps. You got to love the drive-in trailer park spirit. I love it. It says, "I've known Roger for about 35 years, so I've only known him half of his career," Briggs chuckles. In his long history of reviewing, interviewing, and talking about Corman and his legendary work, one emblematic encounter sticks out to Briggs. I remember the very first time I went to the Corman studio, which was a lumber yard on Venice Boulevard. He had a standing set for a spaceship control room, a standing set for a strip club. I love the Roger Corman strip movies. It's awesome. And I think he had one other one, and then he had all of this editing facilities there, but it was still a lumber yard. They had not only they had not really changed any of the buildings or anything. He's showing me around the studio, and we were walking past a pile of debris, and I said, Roger, is that a mutant from the Forbidden World? And it just had been thrown over in the corner, and he just said, yes, Joe Bob, I believe that is. He was apparently no longer needed. I said, needed. I said, Roger, you got to get with it. This stuff is worth money. But he was like, when the movie's over, the movie's over. And that was a Roger to a T. You got to love Roger Corman, man. He's been around so long. He's like, I would love to grab that. Joe Bob, you should grab that. At least part of Corman's longevity can be attributed to his shrewd business practices and his pragmatic approach to the industry, which has included working in every conceivable genre of cinema. I couldn't think of a single genre he has not made, Briggs says. I think we'll continue from this question right here, and we'll go for it, guys. While the 4th annual Drive-In Jamboree is still in the planning stage, Briggs is delighted by the event's continued success. The Jamboree is something that we literally just threw together. We've had 3 of them now. It's something where we just show up and they try to come up and with programming for each day. But I really think the Jamboree is more about the mutant family meeting the mutant family. It's more about people who know each other online gathering and partying with each other in person. It's not so much about what movies we have. I mean, we always have an anniversary movie and we always have some special guests and everything, but it's more about the gathering of the mutants. It's fun from that point of view. They're exhausting, I can tell you that. And it's true. This is something I love, you know. I don't try to get too much into things like this and stuff like that, cliques and clubs and all that. But I mean, whether you're left, right, whether you like B movies or horror movies or whatnot, it feels like you can belong in the mutant family with Joe Bob's. Yeah, we all have different opinions. We all have different tastes. We may not all like the same things. We all may have different politics. But I really feel like within the Joe Bob drive-in world, we really get to see some awesome movies, have some great conversation, and agree to disagree at times because we're all different. I see so many people from different facets of life, and politics just talk about B movies with this. They're not talking politics. They're not talking about whether I hate you or I like you. They're talking about these awesome Roger Corman B movies, horror movies, 80s slashers, 70s movies, and stuff like that. And I just really love hearing that. So let's scroll down to here. It says, the zeal among Briggs' audience has only grown over the years from hosting Joe Bob's Drive-In Theater on the Movie Channel from 1986 to 1996, which I think I remember watching 1 or 2 of those. But Monster Vision, which it continues here, says to Monster Vision on TNT from 1996 to 2000, the last drive-in on Shudder since 2018. Those I remember. Monster Vision growing up with, and now I've been watching the last drive-in. Joe Bob says, I'm amazed having been in the business for this many years that I still have the show at this time because they say you can't repeat TV. Briggs notes, nobody wanted to see old TV, and yet I've done the same show 3 times and 3 different networks, and every time I try to change it, everyone says, no, please don't change it, Joe Bob. No, it's amazing the way you do it. Don't change it. That's the part we love. I always want to do something new, and I'm always told, no, you're the CEO of Coca-Cola who went to New Cook. You can't do that. People revolt, so we're still doing it. But hey, you can always try something new. You can always slip in something new into the old format. I mean, we'll see. We'll tell you what we like and what we don't like. And the fact that you listen to your audience's fan is something that a lot of people don't do today. I wasn't planning on reading all this, but I'm going to read through some of this and just see how it goes. What do you guys say? It says, hey, eventually I want to be able to conduct these interviews myself, and where I don't have to read articles online to you guys from other people. I want to conduct these interviews myself and give them to you, present them on my channel and stuff like that. But until then, I'm having fun doing this, and I hope you're having fun watching and enjoying these type of videos. It says, one of the few shows that I know of that's just sort of grown organically over the years, gosh, almost 40 years. We just added elements to the show. We try things. If something doesn't work, we throw it away. If something works, we do it forever. There you go. Like I just said, he listens. And it continues with, the mutant family will be happy to know that Briggs plans to continue hosting and writing about movies for as long as he's able to. I don't see retiring from this or retiring from writing. I'm primarily a writer. Yes, people don't realize how smart Joe Bob is. Joe Bob is really his character of this trashy drive-in Texas movie critic. But Joe Bob, John Bloom, is super smart. He's a big writer. He actually had one of his books adapted to HBO miniseries starring Elizabeth Olsen. It's a true crime book. So the man is very intelligent. And he continued with, I'm primarily a writer. And the good thing about writing is long after they don't want to see you on TV anymore, you can still write. The difference today, though, is I was pretty much the only guy doing genre films when I started. Now there are academics that do it. There are entire books written about Dario Argento and Toby Hooper and even lesser names than those. And there are, of course, a massive number of websites, including your own, so that when something comes out today, there's immediately 100 reviews of it. Whereas in 1982, I was sort of the only guy because the movies were considered disposable trash. So I have been surpassed in my deep knowledge because who can keep up with all of that? It's impossible. And to be honest with you guys, this is one of the reasons why I do my channel, why I love doing movie reviews. I know, like, I love doing movies. I love talking boo movies. I love talking independent films. I love talking films like Joe Bob Talks because of people like Joe Bob Briggs, because of people like Gilbert Gottfried and Rhonda Shear who did Up All Night, because of Sven Gully, because of horror movie hosts. I love doing that, and I love trying to focus on, I like to, sometimes I'll focus on the bigger budget movies and everything, but I love focusing on like the smaller budget B movies, horror movies and stuff. That's really me. That is me. When I cover those movies and I do reviews of those movies, you're getting the more me, the more real me than you are of anything. And not that I'm not being real in my other videos, I'm being completely real, but those movies just like truly excite me. And the fact is that it's doing this channel, I'm not huge. I would bet not a lot of people watch this video. I would bet they don't. And this video is probably going on longer than I anticipated because I'm talking, because I learned that from Joe Bob and stuff. I just keep talking. But I've got to be on Rhonda Shear's Up All Night channel, Social Hour. That's something I watch. And now I get to help out a little bit, or not help out, but be a part of something to do with Rhonda Shear, who I grew up watching. And I would love to be able to talk to Joe Bob Briggs, meet Joe Bob Briggs, help out Joe Bob Briggs. It's just amazing what I've done with my little channel here, and amongst these little B movie trash film lover community and my fellow followers. And I appreciate everybody out there for allowing me to do that. I will continue with this. It says, Diana Prince, who serves as Briggs' co-host Darcy the Mill Girl and was instrumental in getting him back in the hosting chair, has been promoted to an associate producer of the season. Awesome. Shout out Diana Prince, Darcy. Hell yeah, she's awesome. Her and Joe Bob actually follow me on Instagram, and Darcy follows me on Twitter. So shout out to them. That's awesome. She was sort of always the associate producer, but I guess they finally gave her the title. Briggs Explains. It's about time. She's awesome. Diana Prince is on all the decisions about programming. I always listen to Austin Jennings, the director, and Diana Prince, the Mill Girl, because they come from opposite ends of the spectrum in terms of what kind of movies they want to watch. And we try to strike a balance between, she's not going to vote for Possession and he's going to vote for Mountaintop Motel Massacre, He Turtles. That's awesome. That's what I'm talking about. They listen to the fans. They listen to vastly different people, and they come together. I love hearing that. It says they're probably the principal advisors as far as what we show. Of course, Diana has a lot of social media clout, and she's extremely knowledgeable about pop culture. Wow, she has seen everything. She's seen more than I've seen. I've heard that, and I've talked to Brooks Davis, who worked with her on their Full Moon TNA too. Says she's one of the coolest women you will ever meet. She's the girlfriend that you thought about having when you were growing up watching horror movies. They'd sit there, watch the movies with you, would say nothing when the chicks pops their tops, would love it actually, and just hang out with you and geek out about horror. She's awesome. Says, while the surprises are part of the fun, The Last Drive-In Briggs previews some of what it's in store this season. The place we normally live is the neglected 80s slasher, which is one of my favorite eras. But I know Joe Bob's older, so he says, and we will still live there. He assures us. So we're still getting that, but we're going to pay a lot more attention to the 70s, which is awesome. 70s is a great era of horror as well. Especially, I've always thought the 70s were more interesting than the 80s anyways, and we're going to pay attention to some really recent stuff. That's cool. The recent stuff, I could do. Sometimes I skip out on the recent stuff. I won't lie. I do. I'm not a huge fan of all the recent stuff, but I am interested to see where it goes with 70s. 80s is where I'll always be. I love the 80s horror movies into the early 90s, but 70s has some really great, and they are interesting because they're much more darker, and the endings aren't as good or happy as 80s films, and they can really make you think a little more. So I totally get what he's saying about the 70s stuff, even though I'm an 80s guy. He teases we're going to bring back Joe Bob Summer School. Hell yeah, Joe Bob Summer School, which is something that we used to do on Monster Vision. Yes, and we may have a marathon. Yes, I love those marathon Monster Vision things. There's a possibility of that, but I'll be digging this new format of being on every other week between now and at least up to Labor Day. While Briggs' hosting format hasn't changed much across 4 decades, the world around him certainly has, and that's why The Last Drive-In remains relevant. He points out, in an era of streaming where everything is menus and there are thousands and thousands of choices, we are the thing called a curator that can direct you in the fun places on the spectrum of streaming. And you guys know I don't really care for streaming, but this is something I think benefits streaming. A show like this that they won't put on network TV anymore, which is sad. I would love to see it on network TV, but with this on streaming and with Shudder, there's no commercials. I'm not paying extra commercials. A lot of the movies they make on Shudder, if I find something new, they will put on Blu-ray, and I can watch Joe Bob unedited, uncensored, the movie uncensored, and Joe Bob can point out the boobs that we're going to see and all that, and I don't have to worry about that. So that's something I like about this as a physical media collector. And if they show something I've never seen or never heard of, I can buy it on physical media, because most of the 70s and 80s movies and stuff like that are out on Blu-ray or 4K from like Vinegar Syndrome, from like Shout Factory, from like Synapse, from like multiple other Kino Lorber and stuff like that, boutique labels. Streaming is very confusing for people, and yes, that's another reason why a lot of people don't like streaming, and a lot of people don't like it. There you go. For that reason, I hope that we're doing this and cutting through the weeds and bringing things into perspective. And it's just more fun to watch a movie with us. It is. It truly is. He concludes with the Texas-sized grin. I absolutely love that interview. I read more than I anticipated, made this video longer than I anticipated. But if you're a fan of Joe Bob Briggs or the Monster Vision or any of those old horror shows, who is your favorite horror movie host? From the local to the mainstream, because there are so many local horror hosts out there. I want to know that, and let me know what you guys think about this. And if you are a fan of The Last Drive-In, Monster Vision, or if you've watched any of this, and how you feel about the new format. And as always, please leave a comment. If you liked what you saw here, maybe consider hitting that like button, or subscribing and hitting that bell for notification, or joining and becoming a channel member, because that would help my channel immensely. And thank you and shout out to all my channel members. I appreciate each and every one of you guys. Thank you guys for being channel members here and for all of your support. And to everybody watching, whether you liked me, hated me, or liked this video, or hated this video, I thank you for sticking this long. Wherever you all are, please have a great, safe, happy, healthy day, morning, afternoon, evening, and night. Always support physical media. It truly is the superior format, and the drive-in will never die. Godspeed.